And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Monday morning flying weather shows areas of IFR here covering the Bering Sea, extending down into the east central Aleutians, and then from about Adak westward to the Komondorskis. Another area here into the Pribilof Islands up to Nunivak Island there, and then on up into St. Lawrence Island. More IFR here through the Bering Strait, and staying mostly off the Arctic coast with VFR over the interior, marginal VFR along the Alaska Range and portions of south central Alaska. Lots of marginal conditions into Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, the North Gulf Coast, as well as up into the southern Copper River Basin. Marginal VFR here over the northern panhandle, mostly near or west of Lynn Canal, then extending down the coastline. And for the afternoon, that marginal VFR condition overspreads the entire southeast coast. A little bit IFR here up along the North Gulf Coast, but not too much into western Prince William Sound. So probably IFR conditions developing for the Passage Canal area in toward Whittier. And marginal VFR, the Alaska Range, Talkeetnas, otherwise the interior, another VFR day, with the exception here of the southwest down toward Bristol Bay, some marginal stuff there. And again, IFR mostly off the Arctic coast, extending through the Bering Strait, covering a big portion of the Bering Sea here. And again, Nunivak Island area, but marginal for the Fox Islands and Alaska Peninsula. Then for the morning hours Tuesday, not a lot of change, just pretty much solid IFR for the Bering Sea. And from areas here about Unimak Island westward, marginal or IFR again into portions of Nunivak Island with marginal VFR up along the coastline into Bristol Bay, and then increasing IFR now for the western Alaska Range here up toward Denali Park, mainly on the southern slopes there, southeastern slopes and east side of the mountains, and IFR for the North Gulf Coast into the northern Panhandle, all the way down to Wrangell, and marginal VFR elsewhere for the southeast coast. Now some marginal VFR slipping on up into the 40-mile country over the eastern interior areas. And that holds through the afternoon on Tuesday there with areas of marginal VFR with showers and thunderstorms over the Alaska Range and Talkeetna Mountains. Some IFR northern Prince William Sound, eastern North Gulf Coast. Stays marginal for the Panhandle. VFR, much of the interior, including the Seward Peninsula, Noatak Valley areas, North Slope, out to about the Arctic coast. And big area of IFR expands over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And for passes, Anatuvik and Adigan for tomorrow looking pretty good again. Both VFR conditions in the forecast for both approaches. Lake Clark and Merrill, occasional marginal VFR for the western Alaska Range, including rainy, and farther to the north windy, looking marginal with Isabel. Occasional marginal VFR there as well. Mentasta, VFR with possible marginal conditions on the southern entrance. And for Tanita, occasional marginal VFR, as well as Portage, pretty marginal, and increasing IFR on the eastern entrance. And for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR. Freezing levels here, cooler air out over the southeast Bering Sea into the southwest interior here as this ridge kind of breaks down, shifts off to the east, still 10,000 feet over the eastern Arctic coast and interior areas, and then down across the Panhandle. And from there, looking at icing, a couple of zones here, system bringing some icing threats to Bristol Bay in the southwest interior, down to the Alaska Peninsula, a little bit into Kodiak Island. Could be some isolated moderate rime or mixed icing here across south central Alaska. And another band with that weakening front pushing some considerable moderate rime icing across the central Aleutians. And from there, going to the jet stream with high pressure aloft here over the eastern Brooks Range. Southeast flow, 60 to 70 knots here from the Susitna Valley right on up across the Seward Peninsula. And then the other side of this trough axis, northwest winds, 70 to 90 knots, strongest here coming across the Alaska Peninsula. And then even stronger winds here out over the western Aleutians, west-northwest, 100 knots out in that area. And for 9,000 feet, west-northwest flow, 35 knots here for the Aleutians. Light for the remainder of the Bering Sea northward there. A narrow band of 30 to 35 knot winds here through the central interior, taking a turn to the north there, right along the northwest coast to about Point Hope and Cape Lisburne. Otherwise, light variable wind conditions here, southern Alaska, the Gulf, and the Panhandle. That same pattern at 3,000 feet, pretty light winds here from the Brooks Range right on down into the Gulf of Alaska and from the eastern Bering Sea into the Panhandle here. Strongest winds out to the west. West-northwesterlies 35 to 40 knots, and then this weakening front has a band of 35 knot winds in advance of that system. And for turbulence, easterly winds up here, at least there's small craft advisories in the marine areas, so look for light to isolated moderate turbulence there for the eastern Arctic coast areas, and also from about Nikolsky westward out to Shumian at 2.